know, why do we work together all the time?
No one else will work with us.
Well, I don't know. I suppose we work together because it seems like it's...
You were lost for words?
No, it's a little harder for the dealers to throw us out of the store with theirs, too. If you go by yourself, it's like, get out of here.
No,
I think that's probably part of it.
I think we're... our personalities kind of intertwine with each other. And my opinion is Dave is more of the anchor for the team and kind of keeps us going in the right direction as to what we're trying to accomplish, what the goals, keeps us on track. And he does the same thing in the dealerships where he'll look at things from a different point of view than I generally would look at it. And between the two of us, we can dissect issues or problems that may exist or something where we can improve upon certain processes they're doing. And then after we get done meeting with the dealer and their staff, we talk about it and kind of put together a game plan. And then we come to the table with what we think are the solutions and the advantages to work with ours, Dave and I. So
it's definitely two different approaches to the same thing. I think more in terms of how the business would run as a business, and Keith thinks more in terms of how they run it as a dealership, because too many guys run their, in my opinion, from my perspective, too many guys run their dealership the way they're taught to run a dealership, and that's just the way it always is. So everything is, well, this is what we always did, or this is how we always do it. And I always think in terms of just the business side of it, why would you do it that way? And then Keith and I talk, and he either explains to me and I understand it, and that's why we do it that way, or we talk about it and he comes to the solution and maybe that ain't the best way to be doing it from here on out. So it kind of gives two, when we go talk to a dealer, it definitely gives us two perspectives on what the guy's saying. Because Keith's thinking it in terms of when he was all working at all those dealerships and how they did stuff, and I'm thinking in terms of, probably more on the corporate side. How would you do it if you were a company guy and you're just looking at it from the business perspective?
Like Dave said, we've both been in the corporate world. We both drank the Kool-Aid sometimes, and as you get a little older, you start thinking, well, you got to start making decisions that are going to affect the rest of your life and how do you want to live it. And we both had the same ambitions, the same agendas, the same mindset, that it seemed like that was the perfect time to do it. Monetarily, we were going out on the edge because these other companies, they promise you big salaries and all kinds of benefits, but we felt now is the time to do it, and how bad can it be? And that was about, 13 years ago, Dave? Or so?
08, yeah. 12.
So it was, in my opinion, in my career, the best decision I ever made to team up with Dave. And I will say he made his decision. He talked to his wife, and we decided we're not going to look back. We're going to move forward. And that was on a Friday. That following Monday, we went down to Springfield and formed the Revenue Management Group. And we never looked back. And we've had, in my opinion, quite a few successes. We've had some hills and valleys that everybody has. But we're fortunate that we've got our core partners, our core dealers that we still have relationships with, we still do business with, and it allowed us to live a life with our families, to be able to go where we want to go, when we want to go. It gives us a choice of who we want to do business with. And there's some guys, some dealers you don't want to do business with due to reputation, or their different greed factor sometimes gets in the way of what's not, in our opinion, not moral, but just something that you got to live with every day. You got to look in the mirror every morning. Our belief is, first off, the customer that buys the products, the customer that's buying the car, ultimately is our customer. And we always will get in the middle of any issues where there may be gray area. We get involved with the dealer, the company that's underwriting the contracts, and we come to an agreement as to what's fair for everybody, because sometimes it's not black and white. And that's the other thing we do, is that's part of the servicing, the training. If our dealers have an issue or a problem, they either contact me or contact Dave. They know they can get an answer within hours, depending on the time of the day, but at least in the next 24 hours. So we pride ourselves on quick action when there's a need. And at the same time, we try to get ourselves involved with more than just selling product to the agent, to the dealership. We get involved in consultation when they want to acquire new stores, or when they're trying to figure out ways to participate in more of the profitability of the products they sell, like reinsurance or retro programs that we offer. So there's a lot of different variables. It's not just selling service contracts or gap. There's more to it. It's a lot more deeper than that.
The whole philosophy is we do what we think is best for the client, and that's one of the issues that we have in corporate America. I had with corporate America was, I would always interview and they would say, hey, we'll do it your way, and we would do it my way for 4, 5, 8 years, and then all of a sudden you get a new boss or whatever, and then it was always about what the company wanted, not about what you felt was best for the client. It was all, you were dictated and told, you need to go out and do this, you need to go out and do that. Well, that's not really the best thing for my client. I don't think it is. So now it's the same, we actually do what we think we should do for the client, whether it's good for the company we're doing business with or not. Obviously we keep that in mind because we don't want to lose our providers, and we try to keep a good perspective on a balance there, but nobody tells us what we have to do for the client. So when we go in, it's rewarding to be able to, diagnose issues with the client, figure out what they need, how they want to run their store, how fast they want to move with change, and then we migrate them to that direction. And it is rewarding to be able to look back with a dealer and see the progress that we've made with them. And we didn't do wholesale changes. I mean, that's one of the things I think we've always thought about, that we're not going to be those guys.
When Dave talks about wholesale changes, he means basically with employees. What some of the company guys do is they'll come into a dealership and then they'll bring in what we'll call them their guys, and get rid of the guys that the dealer has on staff at the time. And our belief is this dealer saw something of potential with those people when he hired them. And obviously they're just not meeting their expectations. And part of it is because they weren't trained, part of it they didn't have the tools, or there was misinterpretation of what's expected. So we try to work within that boundary of those personalities. And honestly, at the end of the road, most of the time it turns out that the staff that they have are qualified people that bring value to the table, and then the ones that don't, they just don't fit because of that's not their niche in life. We're honestly with them, and we try to place them in other places that maybe would fit better for them because of culture or whatever. So we get some pride in that because we know what it's like to be able to get up to go to work every day, and then if you don't have a job when you get up the next day because of some opinion of somebody, because that's the corporate marching orders, we take that to heart. I mean, you're dealing with people's livelihoods, and we take that pretty seriously. So it's not just always about product that we get a sense of success, because then you can look at the bottom line and see the value of the money, the profitability, but it's more of the relationships with the sales staff and the dealerships, the F&I managers, the sales managers, as well as the dealer. So that gives us motivation to keep trying to do better.
Well, obviously that goes back to the foundation of what we talked about when we got in business, is that we weren't going to go out there and, we were looking at long term. We weren't going to peddle products where we could have a problem. And I experienced that, really firsthand when I left the association in 2000, and I was interviewing with Old Republic, and there was some guys trying to get me to sell North American. They wanted me to go on my own then and do the North American, and it wasn't 6 months later that they went broke. And that's always the thing with Keith and I, is we just wanted to represent strong Fortune 500 insurance organizations and get contracts where the dealer was directly contracted with the insurance company, so we don't have to worry about these backside programs that are backed by somebody who's backed by somebody, and if they have a financial problem or they go broke, I mean, as their dealer's representative and agent, where does that leave us? Are we supposed to pay those claims? You know, who's supposed to pay the claims? And I don't know how those other agents deal with that fallout. I know some personally, and you know, there's trust accounts that are set up, and you got to beg to get the money out of it. And it's just disaster, you know. I mean, talking to those guys, but they somehow, you know, they stand proud and they move on. You know, they act like that wasn't them. You know, when the reality of it is, you chose to bring that company into that dealership, knowing that they were a third-party administered program or they were a risk retention group, knowing the financial problems, knowing that you've had problems with those companies in the past, or you know a number of them that went broke. And, you know, to name a few, I mean, North Central, API, I mean, these companies, it isn't like an agent doesn't know these companies have financial problems. But they bring them in anyway. You know, the cheapest product they can find to impress the dealer about, oh, look how cheap this is, and they're paying their claims. Well, yeah, they do pay their claims until they go broke.
And the other thing is we hooked up with Allstate long before they were their brand name. Everybody knows who Allstate is, but before they became a what we call a retail vendor for service contracts and Gap and the products we sell. But everybody knows the brand. Allstate's very, very conscious of their brand, and it was not an issue for us to say, yeah, we want to be a part of that team. And they were pretty selective as to who they chose. There was only 3 agents in the country, in Illinois rather, that Allstate would do business with, and we were fortunate to be one of them. And also we still had Old Republic because of our previous relationship, and they're an A-rated company. So they were probably, well, no, they were a little more expensive than some of these third-party administrator companies, but that's the old story. You get what you pay for. And quite honestly, the customers in the dealerships, they don't know the names of some of these other companies, but when the F&I man talks about service contract and it's backed by Allstate, it really does lend itself to credibility. It makes it a little easier sale because of the credibility that Allstate carries. Now, they don't fit the needs for everybody. That's why we have other opportunities or other things that we can present to them. That's one of the reasons we merged our company with the Oak Agency last year, is because of the breadth of the other companies they have available, that we weren't quite large enough for some of these companies to deal with. So we weren't really getting the availability of what we felt we could supply to the dealers that we do business with to enhance some of the programs we already had in the stores. And Oak Agency was one of the other 3 agencies in the state of Illinois that had the Allstate contract. So it was an easy merger, but it allowed us to, again, offer other product lines that we could adapt to fit the dealer's needs. It was like a plug and play, or we're a boutique. We don't get marching orders from one set of management from an insurance company and say, this is what you're going to sell this dealer, and he's going to buy it, and that's the way it is. We have different variables of programs, and with the experience with the Oak management that we have personally known for over 35 years, so it's not like we just met them. They have a good reputation in the field, and they feel the same way we do about the ability to be able to produce and have value to the dealer. And we've been involved now just over a year with them, and it's turning out to be a very good opportunity for both our companies to be able to build the strengths on each and move forward. So we're very anxious about being able to tell the story, both for the companies we've had business with, and talk to the story about what Oak F&I Services brings to the table, and with their training capabilities and their offerings of products and their management team. So it's been a positive for us. So we're excited about it, and we just want to be able to get out here and tell the story so that people who kind of know who we are, they kind of know who Oak is, but now they can see us face to face, and you know, we'll talk to them straight up. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to go in and talk to a dealer on the initial meeting, and then see it develop and be able to move into the next level of the dealer. I think back to a time, Dave, when we had one of the major dealers we did business with, had several stores and he'd gone through several companies and he was looking to make another change, and we were sitting at his table in his office with his CFO, and he said, I'm interviewing other guys, and you guys are more expensive than them. And we responded back saying, well, are they Allstate products? No. Well, we said, well, that's the reason for it, because Allstate is a little bit more expensive, but that's because it's Allstate, and they do what they say they're going to do. He goes, oh, you guys are all the same. You come in, you say you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're around for the first 30 days, and then after that, we never see you except one day a month when you come in to pick up the check, because you're just bagmen. And I responded by telling the dealer I took offense to that statement. I said that Dave and I are not at all like that. Don't put us into that. That's not where we're coming from. We're totally different. And he said, what do you mean? Well, after 30 days, we don't even come in because it's all electronic deposits, so we don't need to come in and pick up the money. Well, he laughed at that because that's not the truth, the way we do it, but he wasn't expecting that response. So ultimately, we did business with him. And it was a good relationship, but as some relationships go, there's other family members involved in other parts of the country that have a little more control over the dealer body that they are owners of, and attrition happens, and you don't keep the account. Not to anything that Dave and I didn't do. We did what we said we would do, but at the point of the story is that when we talk to a dealer, we talk to them. We're car guys. And they're car guys, and we understand it's a different language, it's a different mindset. It's just no one's trying to impress anybody. We know who we are, we know where we came from, and we know where we want to be. And to me, that's fun. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not looking to end my career anytime soon, other than what Dave may think, right, Dave?
Yeah. I can tell you who doesn't get to decide.
Who?
Well, there was a binge there where I was eating Subway, and you were like, we're not eating that crap. And Jimmy John's is out, But Keith likes to take a break for lunch. He likes an hour or 2 hours as a break. And he's partial to the Mexican joints, I think.
Burritos. And I like pizza.
And pizza. Chicago pizza.
Or Italian beefs from Portillo's or something like that. Yeah.
And then he's got his favorite.
What?
The joint out in Sterling, which is the
buffet, the Chinese buffet?
The Chinese buffet.
Yeah, because they got good fried chicken there. But we haven't been able to go to a buffet because of the COVID thing, so that's kind of cramped my style. But as far as driving, I never let him drive, ever. He drives like a maniac. I mean, he thinks all the, he lives in Bloomington, and it's all farm country out there, and he can drive 100 miles an hour unless a tractor hits him with a corn bin in the back. He's not going to be any problem. But he gets up here in Chicago, he'll tell me to make a U-turn in the middle of an interstate and just cross over the grass. And I said, I'm not doing that. Well, come on, Holmes, come on, we got to make up some time. I don't care. So no, he never gets to drive. And he just gives me direction, and sometimes it's the right directions, other times it's not. But he gets a little anxious when we're stuck in traffic. Sometimes he keeps wanting me to go up on the shoulder like I'm a bus, like we're gonna make time. I said we're not going anywhere. So yeah, lunch isn't all. It's important, not important to me, but it's like sometimes it's the only meal I have during the day. So there is some. I do put some weight into it because it's once a day.
There's a focus there in the morning.
Absolutely.
Where we're going for lunch.
Yeah.
Then we're going to the store.
You talk about Subway. We went to a Subway in Central Illinois, and there were a lot of pig farmers down there. Well, nothing against pig farmers. I love pork, but we went into a Subway where that's where they would come for lunch, and they'd be in their boots and their clothes, their farm, and it smelled like a pigsty. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting in here eating a submarine sandwich, and it smells like a pigsty. I'm ready to gag. And I think that's what kind of threw me off on this. Yeah, that's why I'm not a Subway fan, because I keep remembering the smell of that pig farm. So. Well,
I do have a picture of you at the newfound buffet. We've only been there twice, I think. That one down there in Bradley.
You're right.
Where you got that
turkey leg.
You got a huge turkey leg with that guy. Ask the guy if you can have the whole damn turkey leg.